Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. My name is Alexi Boyd. I'll be taking you through the program today, and I am a small business advocate, lover of all things admin, and general talker. I've discovered that I am a talker. Started this show 2.5 years ago because I like talking. And look, someone popped a microphone in front of me and Bob's your uncle. Everything's been great ever since. Now we're talking a lot about natural wellness, sort of health, healing, and we've fallen into that with the last couple of weeks of guests. We've been talking about the importance of keeping yourself, mentally and also physically well, and incorporating that into your business, because as a small business, we are our businesses. We operate almost 24/7 thinking, living, eating, breathing, which is not necessarily a good thing. And today's guest is going to be taking us through a few top tips to try and keep yourself more well balanced in terms of your health and well-being. And also we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a small business in that space. It's topical at the moment. People are talking about working spaces, co-working spaces, getting out and about. We talked a couple of weeks ago with our friends from the chiropractors, Chatswood Chiropractic Clinic, about making sure you do things like walking meetings and trying to keep well and fit. So we're going to extend on that today. And today we've got Kerry Alexander, who is a local naturopath and herbalist, who's going to be talking us through some of her top tips, but also just giving us some thought processes on how we can look after ourselves and nurture ourselves a little bit better. So welcome to the program, Kerry.
Thank you, Lex. No,
it would help if I turned on your microphone. There we go. I'll say that again. Welcome to the show, Kerry.
Thanks, Lexi.
So you've been in business for a number of years. Tell me a little bit about your journey. What was it that drew you to this line of work, and why are you so passionate about helping other people?
Okay. I probably always wanted to be a naturopath. I just didn't know that I could actually do that as a job. So I thought it was something that I just got to do, read books, accumulated knowledge, and kind of went from there. Until I went off to uni, trundled off to uni, went and actually did media, communications, radio.
That makes perfect sense, of course. Naturopath, media comms, yeah, I can see that. I can see the link there. Did you burn out? Did you get bored?
I don't think I got bored. I got sick. I got really sick. I ended up with really bad IBS. I had food intolerances, headaches, nausea.
Do you think that was brought on by that overwork and that the stress associated with the study, or was it more that, it was just something that just happened at that time of your life? It happens a lot to small businesses, doesn't it? Just that whole, you work so hard that eventually your body goes, nope, I'm done.
Yes.
I'm waving the white flag.
I think I was just naturally a really stressed kid. I wasn't eating what I needed to be eating. I was living away from home. You know what it's like when you're at uni.
2-minute noodles.
Yeah, 2-minute noodles, lots of, yogurt, lots of alcohol, not very much sleeping, let's be real.
And so you moved into the natural space, but it was more out of a love for what you do, and that's, I guess, what a lot of businesses come to when they move into that small business arena. I mean, I think I'm on my 4th career now. Absolutely nothing to do with what I studied at uni, but falling into that space and loving it and really enjoying it. And I think what I've enjoyed our unique friendship in terms of two small businesses getting to know each other in the local area, because I know that you're continually educating yourself. Why do you think that's important as a small business?
Well, I think you need to stay current so that you understand what's happening for people in their lives. You also need to understand what new research is coming out and how you can apply that for the best outcome for your patients. If you don't understand how it feels to be a stressed mum, how are you going to gain that, understand that, and have that empathy for that mum who walks in the door, or that small business owner who's tired, overworked, completely just exhausted? How are you going to know how to gain that empathy and sit in that space with them? It's really important that you understand it.
And that's, I suppose, why small businesses are really good at communicating with other small businesses, because we're there in that space with them and we can understand about deadlines and the impact that family has on us. So I know that you work with a lot with small businesses in the area and trying to help them and support them. What's the most typical negative side that you see impacting on people's health and wellness when they run small businesses? What's the main thing that really kills them and knocks them about?
Overworking. Not actually giving themselves the boundaries that they require so that they can work well when they're working, be focused on what they're doing, and then actually stop when it's time to stop. We don't stop.
I know.
We keep going.
We were talking about that earlier, weren't we? It's just this... we're happy to use the B word, the busy word, but nobody goes, oh, yeah, no, today I did nothing.
Well, I think it's because people look at it like it's, it's a dirty word it's a dirty concept not to be busy. When in actual fact, we need to stop. Our bodies aren't designed to work and work and work and work. There are seasons and cycles for everything, and we need to actually stop, refresh, defrag, have time out. Otherwise, we're constantly in this phase of go, go, go. We're in sympathetic all the time. We always think that, I've got to run away from the tiger because that's how our bodies understand the stress. We also need to sit, relax. When we go into parasympathetic, that's when we start to breathe, we start to nurture ourselves, we rest, we refresh, all of that kind
Isn't
of
that
stuff.
just sleeping?
No, that's not just sleeping.
Because I just say to myself, I'll just go for 18 hours. No, I'm not that bad. I'll go for 14 hours of the day, and then I reckon, no, what am I kidding, 16 hours of the day, and then I'll sleep really, really well. Is it enough to go, no, it's fine. I sleep well. I don't have these broken sleeps, so I don't get insomnia or anything like that. I'm fine. Is that enough?
I don't think so. I still think you need actual time out to go and reconnect to nature, to your friends, to have fun, to relax, to actually have that mental space away from work.
And is it okay in the beginning to schedule that in? Because I know that,
I think you have to.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just not going to make time to ensure that you're actually, finding that time to stop.
Yeah. But Lexi, how easy is it to just go, I'll just go and check that email. I know it's 7:30. The children have gone to bed. I'll just go and have a look. And then all of a sudden you're down that wormhole again. You need to have those boundaries and you need to observe them so that your body can actually refresh. You need to sleep, you need to rest.
Do you think it's become worse in the last 5 years because we've become so dominated by these electrical devices?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm seeing more and more fatigue. People are just adrenally fatigued. Their nervous systems are just totally strung out. And they're struggling as a result. And the more you push it, the more the body will upregulate. But eventually you'll crash. And then you get sick. It's the reason why people go on holiday and they get sick, because their bodies have been maintaining that they've been maintaining themselves in that really in that high cortisol sort of space, and then that drops, and with that the immunity comes down, and then they get sick because all of a sudden I don't have a deadline and I know that I can rest. So now my body goes, great, let's be sick. Let's really make you sleep now.
I'm going to take this time to just all those bugs that have been building up in my system, I'm going to just let them take over so we can sort of flush them out once and for all. Is it? Do you think that the body is smarter than we give it credit for?
Totally, absolutely.
It'll shut us down if it needs to.
It will.
And that whole flight and fight response you talk about is really, I know it sort of sounds a bit nomadic and a bit sort of 20,000 years ago, but it's still very much a part of our makeup, isn't it?
Well, that is still, from an evolutionary perspective, that's still where we are. Yes, you look around the world and life is very different and we've advanced very far, but we've still got to remember we've got bodies that have, we've evolved to a certain level, and that evolution takes time. It takes generations of change.
And there's no plug-in for that.
Not yet. There's not an app for it.
It's not an app. I need to evolve faster.
No, you just need to sleep.
Well, it's interesting what you were saying about flight and fight response, because I guess when you think about it, the stresses that we put ourselves under in relation to deadlines and allowing client expectations to take over. One of the things that I like to give people tips about in terms of time management is simply you need to train your clients to understand when you're available to them. So a really simple one, and I'm just going to pop that idea out there, tell me what you think. A really simple one is you draft the email. If you absolutely must write that email and get it out of your system, almost from a mental health perspective, that whole cognitive behavioural therapy, just get it out of your mind. If you must write it at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night so you can sleep, but don't send it. Just save it as a draft and then send it off at 9:15, 9:30 in the morning, so that your clients don't think that they've got you on tenterhooks, because they will presume that they can get immediate results from you. They will email you at 12 o'clock at night, and then first thing in the morning when you wake up, you're going to respond.
Absolutely. Although, yes, I understand what you're saying. Write that email if you have to. But I think better than that, probably just write on your list for tomorrow. Got to reply to Mr. Jones about whatever. And then let it be. Because the problem is that every time you engage, you're going back into that stressed place. You're not allowing the hormones in your body to actually go through the cycling that they need to, so that you can rest, relax, and go to sleep. Because it is a hormonal cascade. Sleep is a hormonal cascade. And so the body needs that time for it to happen. It's the same reason that the blue lights on our phones and our computers, they keep us awake. Again, because it mimics sunlight, and so the brain goes, great, we can stay awake. But in actual fact, it's 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and your body needs to be going through its circadian rhythm so it can go to sleep.
There's something interesting that I heard from our vet, of all people, with our new dog, is that we were going, oh my God, why is she shedding right in the middle of winter? It doesn't make any sense. She's actually just losing all of her hair. It's not like a change of the seasons. And the vet says, so when she goes to bed inside at night before you've put her out, is she in a room with all the lights on? And we went, yeah, I suppose she sleeps in the kitchen on her puff and we leave all the lights on. And then we went, well, you're actually messing with her cortisol level. So she thinks that the annual cyclical nature of the seasons, she thinks it's a different season. Her body is physiologically responding to that by thinking that it's summer, because the day in her mind is longer. So he said, if you want to try and reduce the amount that your dog is shedding, just when it goes to bed inside somewhere, turn the light off and then see if it actually worked.
Well, that's similar to what you're doing with, working at 10 o'clock at night. You're still keeping that cortisol high, so the melatonin cascade can't go through your sleep cycle. And then you lie in bed for an hour or two while, the body is starting to try and calm down, and your washing machine and toss and turn, and then you don't sleep very well, and then you get up the next morning, you haven't slept well, and you go, caffeine, I know, I'll do that. So what you're doing then is you're just plugging your adrenal glands back into that higher cortisol level, and off you go again, round and around.
So in terms of, that's an interesting point you bring up about caffeine and sugar. I'm always trying to avoid having anything after dinner. I'm trying to bring that meal time a little bit earlier, but also not sort of reaching for the chocolate at 9 o'clock at night. And it was actually my mother-in-law who told me this about my daughter. And, I said, it's ridiculous. Abigail's getting hungry at 10. And she went, she's not hungry. She's tired. I shouldn't say 10. My young daughter's not up at 10 o'clock at night. But as she gets closer to bedtime, she complains of being hungry again. And her little body doesn't recognise that that's actually tiredness. So she's trying to find a way to replenish her energy. And her brain is going, I need food. Well, we do it too.
Yes,
as adults, we reach for that chocolate, we reach for that sugar hit at 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. And what we don't realise is that, okay, you're now going to give yourself a sugar high for the next half hour. You're not really going to sleep. It's going to affect loads of different things. So that nutritional side of things is really crucial as well in terms of your adrenal levels and trying to bring yourself. You can't just go, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to read a book right now. I'm going to eat some chocolate, read a book. That doesn't work, does it? You've got to sort of find a pattern with food.
You do need to find a pattern. So you've got to balance your blood sugar levels. So you need to eat healthy, nutritious, whole foods, grains, eat what your grandmother used to eat. Don't eat random packaged stuff that pretends to be food, because it's not food. It's chemicals masquerading as food.
Yeah.
Okay? Eat what your great-grandmother would eat, and that way you can balance your blood sugar levels. You won't crave things like sugar and caffeine as much. You also don't overtax your adrenal glands or your nervous system by doing it, because you're feeding yourself all those nutrients that your body requires so that it can function at its best level.
Look, there's some really great tips. So we're going to take a quick break here on Triple H 100.1 FM. You're listening to Small Biz Matters, and we will be back with Kerry Alexander after these short announcements. Kerry, back to the program now. We're talking with Kerry Alexander, who is a local naturopath and herbalist, about wellness and being in the right frame of mind at work when you're working for yourself. And it's a bit topical at the moment, isn't it? People talking about being isolated and looking for co-working spaces, and I guess small business is getting a little bit more resurgence in the media and being seen as a bit important, despite the fact that we're the biggest employer in Australia and really keeping the economy afloat after the mining boom collapsed. That us and the banks, apparently. But it's important that we recognise that we are ourselves the business.
Yes, absolutely.
And how do we look at that? So take me through a sort of a typical working day and where people fall into bad habits as small businesses. What can we do to break those habits and look after ourselves a little bit better, do you think?
I think starting the day well is really important. Getting up probably a little bit earlier.
Oh, what? I knew you were going to say that. So I don't get up at 7:15 and immediately start screaming at my children?
No. Get up. Go and sit outside. Go and do 10 minutes of meditation. Actually just pull yourself together. Understand what your focus is going to be for the day. Set your intention.
How do you meditate when you've never done it before? So walk me through.
Use an app.
Use an app?
Use an app
for meditation.
Honestly, there are so many. There are beautiful apps. There's Smiling Mind. There's Buddhify. There's all sorts of lovely ones.
Did you just say Buddhify?
I did, yes.
That's awesome.
It's great. Have a look at it.
So what do these apps do? You go out, and I assume you're going to tell us to go and sit out in the sun and get some vitamin D and find somewhere in the natural space to sit.
Yeah, just connect with the natural worlds. It makes such a difference to go and sit outside. Even if you just go and sit on your balcony, put on a jumper, go and get your Uggies, take a blankie if you need to. Go and sit outside, open the app, press play.
And what's it doing? Is it taking you through some music? And what is it?
Yeah, there's usually
and it talks
music.
you through it?
Yeah.
So it's like the back end of a yoga class in an app.
Pretty much.
Right.
Or you could even just do a yoga nidra. But it's just use something that will actually talk you through. So, just a visualization that you can do that just brings you into that space where you're not running around like a headless chook,
yelling at your children,
screaming at your kids because there's 4,000 things to do and the clock is ticking.
Because really, what is 10 minutes? I mean, it's, we can waste 10 minutes just staring at Facebook or just doing something that really doesn't make any sense for that particular period of time. So that's one really good way. You mentioned before about affirmations. Now, that's a bit of a buzzword at the moment, the whole find something to be, what's the word? It's not affirmations, it's appreciations, gratitude. That's it.
So some people like to write gratitude journals.
I'm not a fan.
That's
I can't
okay.
get my head around it. But I suppose if you start the day by going, isn't that tree nice? Or...
yes.
Yeah. What is my purpose for today? Or even, for me, what de-stresses me is to get my head around what I'm going to try and achieve that day.
Well, you can do that too. A lot of people like to get up in the morning and just write their list because it kind of empties that monkey mind. So maybe for you, Lex, it would be better to get up, write that list, and then go and sit outside and go and do just a short meditation. just so that you can bring that clarity and focus into your day. And it's quite amazing. Just doing that for 10 minutes, try it. Just set yourself a challenge of doing it for the next 7 days. You feel so different. You know, you kind of feel a little bit like Teflon because it all just slides off because you've set that intention, you've gathered yourself. You know, you're not in that space where you are just stamping out fires all the time.
That's a good way of looking at it.
And that's a horrible place to be in.
So are you one of these breakfast is the most important meal of the day kind of people, setting yourself up with good nutrition? Give me some examples of some very easy, fast, good nutritional breakfasts for people to have.
See, good food doesn't have to be difficult. It can be really simple. You know, slice of toast, avocado, egg, done.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Yeah.
You know,
because you need to tick all those boxes. Do you need to have the protein element, the carb element, the vitamins and minerals from... Is it a good idea to try and tick all the boxes first thing in the morning?
It is a good idea. You know, you really are what you eat. You know, all of those nutrients are broken down in your body and make up every single cell that is you. So the fact is that, you know, if it's a muffin from somewhere
or just like
or nothing
box of cereal with just it's had such depletion of nutrients taken out of it that they have to put it back in again.
Well, yeah. You know, really, I think as a small business owner, look, as a human, I think that you owe yourself to look after yourself, nurture yourself. This is the only body that you've got in this lifetime. Love it. Look after it. It's carrying you around.
Oh, someone said to me recently, you know, your body is not just a vessel on which your head sits.
No.
You actually need to feed it. And although, you know, for some people out there, some of our listeners might not be connecting with the wellness, looking after yourself, self-care aspect, forget that. Just think about working more efficiently and getting the most out of your day. You're not going to do it unless you fill your tank.
Fuel yourself. Yeah. You know, actually give yourself what you need so that you can work the best that you can. You can't run a car on an empty tank. So why do you do that to your body?
Yes, very true. People who don't have breakfast, it's nuts.
Yeah, just eat breakfast.
And now I'm going to take us straight to the coffee section of the day because
I know it's important, Lexi.
So important. It's only one, but okay. So I'm going to have a coffee. And I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to feel guilty about it.
Enjoy it.
And that's good. Okay, so next section is somewhere in between there. You're obviously working very hard. Is it okay to sit down and eat lunch at our desk while working?
No.
Why?
Because you're not actually sitting down and eating lunch. You're actually working and having a side of lunch. Yeah? Because you're not actually taking that time out. Just go and sit outside. Sit in the sunshine, listen to the birds, read your book. Or the construction
if you live in Asquith and Malcola.
Yeah, we won't go there.
And so just sitting down and relaxing and just switching your brain off. And you're obviously saying don't take your phone and then do things that are going to heighten that adrenal thing.
Just change your perspective as well. Change where you're sitting so that you can change your perspective, because changing your perspective changes how you see things. It literally changes your perspective on whatever that thing is that was annoying you that you couldn't get through just before lunch. You'll walk in and you'll go, oh yeah, got it. That's how I fix it. Sitting at lunch, you know, trying to scrape your way through it is not going to help you move away from it and gain perspective, yeah.
And so after lunch, now a good opportunity now to go for a bit of a walk, clear our mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be more than 5 minutes, does it?
No. You can go for a walk then, or if you're really keen to get back into lunch, or if you've got appointments booked in, then maybe later in the afternoon, sort of 4 o'clock-ish. You know, it depends on what your work day looks like, but yeah, go for a walk, get outside.
And what you were saying before the break as well, also to try and schedule those in. If that's what it takes, put them in your diary.
Yeah.
That 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we always forget about, for me, it's like breaking up the cycle of what I'm thinking about is more disruptive. I feel it's very, very disruptive, but what you're saying is sometimes a new perspective, a different viewpoint, or even some fresh air can really clear out the cobwebs a bit, so you're coming at it again from a a different way of thinking, and it solves the problem a little bit more easily.
Just changing that space, especially if you are really stuck in something, and you're not actually achieving the outcome that you need. Your brain just needs a bit of space. You need to go somewhere else, I'm
going to put it out there that the last few weeks I've been working from home more intensely. I just had a lot of deadlines, so I haven't been filling my day with appointments to have chats to people. I've actually been sitting down and doing work, and then I've been reaching for the fridge, and it is my job, apparently, in the family to empty the fridge and eat it. And I've become the leftovers queen. And what I didn't realise is after a couple of weeks of doing that, I felt really crap. And eventually after those 2 weeks, I put two and two together and I went, maybe because I'm eating old food that has lost its nutrition. It once was nutritional. It was good, healthy food, casseroles, veggies and everything else. But after it's been sitting in a fridge for, a little while, it's going to start to lose its nutritional value. And
it loses its vitality as well. So not only does it lose the energetic properties of the vitalness of that food, but it's also going to start losing its nutrient level as well.
What's the maximum, in your opinion, what's the lifespan of, say, your typical meat dish as a leftovers for any sort of nutritional value?
I reckon a couple of days.
Okay.
But you know what?
I've got to stop cooking so much quantity of food, thinking it's going to last for 2 weeks.
But you know what? Just put a handful of salad on top of it. Put some living food on top of it. If you're going to eat leftovers, do that. Okay.
Maybe some parsley. Go to your garden, your living garden, and go and grab some.
Yeah.
Because you can always cut up a tomato and have it on the side, some avocado on the side.
Grate some carrot, put some lettuce on top.
Very good thinking.
Bit of rocket.
Very good thinking. And drink lots of water. I've found that not drinking enough water. I mean, we were just saying before we came on the air today, it's so dry, and it's not just dry for the garden and dry for the environment, but it's also very dry for our skin, and being dehydrated can't really be good for our brains and helping that work.
Dehydration doesn't work for anything. It doesn't work for your digestive system. It doesn't work for your brain. We need lubrication. Put the water in.
Put the water in so you can function
or herbal
more
teas instead of coffee.
Now, something that advertisers are a big fan of is the 3 o'clock pick-me-up, usually in the form of some crappy cup of soup or chocolate or coffee. What are some good pick-me-up foods that you can just grab on the run that are actually healthy, that are not going to give you that bottoming out effect of the crappy food and the packaged food?
I reckon probably the easiest thing you can do is probably some yogurt, a handful of nuts, some fresh fruit, something like that. Combinations thereof. That is usually the easiest thing that you can walk into the supermarket and pick up. But
fruit is full of sugar anyway, the fructose. What's the difference between me grabbing a couple of mandarins or a chocolate bar? And this is such a reciprocal. I don't know what the answer to this question is, but tell me why.
The answer is fibre. Okay. So if you're going to drink a glass of juice, that glass of juice is going to contain approximately 4 oranges. Okay, you can't tell me you can sit down and eat 4 oranges in one sitting. You're not going to do it. And the difference is that one contains the fibre and one contains only the juice.
What if I get it with pulp? Is that better?
Alexi, stop it.
So you've got to have the fruit. You've got to have the fibre.
You've got to have the fibre, because what that does is that it slows the entry of the fructose, of the sugars, into the body. It just slows the whole process down and allows it to go into the body as it's meant to go in. And it means that you don't have that terrible blood sugar spike.
And do you get that? Is the spike as high when it's not so processed, when it's not... at least here in Australia we don't have high... What do they call it? High fructose corn syrup. Oh my God, yes. That's been linked to so many nasties. At least here we have sugar in our chocolate bars and our other stuff, but you've still got that spike. That spike doesn't happen to the same degree when you're looking at fruit?
It doesn't happen to the same degree because of the fibre. That's why. Okay. What you're also looking at is you're looking at different kinds of sugar, and different kinds of sugar act slightly differently as they're absorbed into the body, and whether they actually cause that spike as much or not.
Great.
Okay.
So we've had our little 3 p.m. pick-me-up, and then we go and start the crazy part of our day, which is the kids' dinner, shopping, running around like a blithering idiot, cleaning up after our kids, and then finally we sit at, hopefully by 8 o'clock, you're sitting down and you're relaxing.
And your phone has been switched off.
Off? What? Did you say off? I don't know if I can do off. I can do
Off.
Silent.
Off.
You know what? It's funny because I've just, as a habit, I've just turned my phone to silent all day. And I'm not missing anything. I'm not, the world's not changing and my phone's not yelling at me. Literally not being upholded to a device telling me what to do just by turning it on to silent.
I'm sure your adrenal glands are thanking you for it, because every time you hear that ping, our bodies respond. We get that dopamine surge and the adrenals go whoosh, and all of a sudden we're in that place again where we've got to run, do, achieve, be whatever it is that person on the other end is asking us to be.
Not to mention, of course, if we're going through a particularly stressful time, we're up against a deadline, or you've got that really nasty client that you should have fired weeks ago kind of emailing you. Every time you hear a noise, you're going to associate it with that negativity, and then there's also that sinking feeling that you can get.
Yep, and you get that hormonal rush, and then your body is in that fight or flight place again.
And there's absolutely no need for it.
No.
There's no need to have notifications on your computer. Turn them off. So go into Outlook, go into Mail, go into whatever your particular email settings are, and turn off those notifications on your computer, because you will see whenever you dump into the emails. And I think we're also losing track of is that there should be an order, a natural order of when things are important. So if you get a phone call, that should be first priority. Oh, no, wait, forget that. Sorry, let's go back to normal humanity. If someone talks to you face to face, you don't ignore them. You don't turn your back. You don't turn them to silent. So that's the first one. Mute the person. So that's the first one. The second one is when someone calls. Then the third one is maybe SMS.
Yep.
And then the fourth one is email. So why are we pushing emails up the train? Why are we saying that they are so important that they need to have our immediate attention the moment they hit our inbox? They don't.
They don't. But that is, I think that's how we hook into this whole cycle of being constantly at work. I know I'll check my email. I know, am I important? I know, has that person got back to me? I think that it's really easy to go into that place, when in actual fact, you know what, just make a time. Okay, I check my emails twice a day, at 9 o'clock and at 1:30. If I get back to you, I will get back to you within business hours. It's a reasonable way to behave.
I've seen quite a few people more and more these days, when you send out emails, you get an automated response that says, I check my emails at this time of the day and this time of the day. If it's urgent, give me a call. If not, I'll speak to you then. And it's that training regime. We almost need to train ourselves as a community of small businesses to say, hey, one of the reasons we went into small business was to cut ourselves some slack and to not have our boss or our job breathing down our neck. But we find ourselves doing it. We're doing it to ourselves.
We are doing it to ourselves, yeah. And I think it's the eagerness that we have to be of service. It's also the requirement that we put on ourselves to, earn an income as well. And I think those two things kind of meld. And then because you are constantly available through your phone, all of a sudden the boundaries erode. So it's very difficult. You have to be really disciplined to put those boundaries in place. But I think when you understand that for mental, emotional and physical health you actually need to do it, you can teach yourself to do it again. Yeah.
And it's also all part of that whole anti-multitasking movement where it's actually not a good idea to be trying to do 5 things at once. And they've proven it. They've said
it's
that.
a furphy anyway.
You're much more efficient to focus on one task, spend X amount of time on it, get it done, then move on to the next task.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that way you can focus completely on that task before you move on to the next one. Focus completely, finish it, move on to the next one. Otherwise, you've got 5 that are, 3/4 done.
The only time you should be multitasking is when you're cooking.
Yes.
You've got several things happening at once. That's it. Just when you're cooking or looking after children in general. Look, we're going to take a quick break here on Small Biz Matters. You are listening to Triple H 100.1 FM. We'll be back after this. And welcome back to Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. My name is Alexi Boyd and I'm here with our special guest, Kerry Alexander, local naturopath and herbalist. We're talking about wellness and self-care and looking after yourself and I guess in saying that, being more efficient and working more effectively, because if you look after and pump yourself full of the right fuel, then you'll avoid things like sugar crashes and tiredness and heightened adrenal activity and all those things that aren't so great, because at the end of the day, as we said at the beginning of the program, we are our business and we need to look after ourselves, because without us, there's nothing and there's no business, which, no pressure, everyone. But there are ways that you can look after yourself. And just before the break, we sort of looked at a typical working day for small businesses out there and some little strategies that you can do to improve your wellness and introducing things into the lifestyle of a small business to sort of improve. Now, one of the important things is we need to look after as a small business is our nervous system. Fairly important. It contains our brain.
Yes.
And our adrenal glands. Now, I've always thought of the nervous system as the brain and the little nerves that just run through our body. Why is the adrenal system so important in terms of us as a small business? Why do we need to be conscious of that with ourselves?
Because that is the axis, that is the hormonal system that probably gets worked the hardest, because we push ourselves so much because of the stress levels and the constant overwork and the lack of sleep that tends to go on. The adrenal glands, honestly, are about, they're our flight or fight, they're our runaway, they're our keep us safe. The difference is that our brains don't and our bodies don't know the difference between a deadline for a client and a saber-toothed tiger that's chasing us. It's still the same hormonal cascade. Okay, so that's what gets people really tired. That's what gets them really run down. And then because it's part of the entire body as well, we've got to look at it holistically. We can't just look at one system and focus on that.
Yeah.
Because everything is interlinked. It's the same as what you eat affects what kind of neurotransmitters actually cascade from your body going forward, because the food that you eat is directly linked to everything else that goes on in your body. So one of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the show was self-care and sort of nurturing and looking after that. There are practical things that you can do to support your adrenal system. I realise and recognise the necessity for coffee, but that's okay. Just don't drink 8 cups of it each day. Drinking herbal teas, you say, is beneficial. Why is that? Because you're using herbs as food. You're using instead of taking away from the body by, putting things like, because unfortunately things like caffeine and sugar and white flour products, they're anti-nutrients. They're considered anti-nutrients. They actually require nutrients to be processed within the body. They take away. They don't add to the body. So what I like to tell people is whatever goes into you, whatever you're eating, whatever you're drinking, try and add to your body. So, things like, if you're going to look after your adrenal glands, drink licorice tea, drink tulsi tea, use things like that so that you can support your system.
And this is obviously where a good herbalist and naturopath can help you to understand where you have deficiencies.
Yeah.
And what you can be doing to replenish a little bit more, because obviously we're talking today about generalised advice and generalised issues that we as small businesses come across and as us when we talk to small businesses. But of course, it's really important to engage with a professional that can obviously do a systematic approach for you. Is there a naturopath association? Is there a professional association?
Yes.
So we always say in the program, when you're looking for someone, look for a professional association and someone who's got the education behind them as well. So I'll just give that little top tip for people as well.
Okay.
What's a ginseng? I see here in your notes.
Ginseng? Okay, so ginseng there's actually a group of herbs that are ginsengs, but what they are is they're adaptogens. So they help the body to function at its best. So physically, mentally, emotionally. There are different ones that can be used for different people. Men, for example, are much better taking something like Panax ginseng because it's very masculine in energy, it's very yang, it's very stimulating. Women, on the other hand, probably shouldn't use that. They can use a lighter, a more gentle ginseng, something like a withania or a rhodiola. So these are all the things that people like me, this is what we do. We tailor herbal medicine formulas and nutritional programs exactly for the person who's sitting in front of us. So it's very easy to go and look up all the stuff, and it's fantastic that people educate themselves, and as they should. But in the end, sometimes just that little fine-tuning is what needs to happen.
I also think we underestimate the power of, I would say power, but the capacity of herbs and natural remedies to support. They can actually be have a negative effect if you're not doing it properly. You have to, whatever you're ingesting in your body, you need to make sure that you're doing it according to what is required for you. So don't just Google it. It's a bit Google Doctor, isn't it? Just going, I need some ginseng, and then go to the chemist and get some crappy over the counter.
Well, if you've got very high blood pressure, taking something like licorice is not what you should be doing because you'll push your blood pressure up. There is a reason that you go and see a trained healthcare professional because they understand all the interactions. And, we're trained in understanding how the body works, what your body needs specifically for you as an individual, and then how we match that to the herbal medicines and the foods and the nutrients that we put in place.
And the exercise as well.
And the exercise. And the meditation.
And the Now, you're a big fan of oats.
Yes.
And now that to me is just like, it's in the cereal aisle. Why is that? Has that always been, and why is that good for, in particular, mental health for small business?
Because it's a really easy food that you can eat. So organic, rolled oats, not the Uncle Toby
processed
quick version,
smushed.
Please don't do that. But oats, it's a really easy food. It's so high in nutrient, so it gives you lots of your B vitamins, it gives you lots of vitamins, and then also helps to restore and nurture the nervous system.
Which brings me to the next point very nicely, which is adrenal glands. Can you, because we're talking about a lot about the whole flight and fight response and trying to, it's almost like you're trying to level it out a bit, rather than having the highs and the lows. You take sugar out of the diet, you still got that adrenal gland response to what's going on. So what are some good remedies that you can take that sort of level things out a bit so you're not experiencing such a roller coaster?
Yeah. B vitamins are excellent, especially B5 and B6, and vitamin C. Vitamin C is really powerful. We're so used to having it around, same as good old B vitamins. We don't realise just how powerful they really are. And the adrenal gland is very dependent on vitamin C. So even just putting a small amount in with those B vitamins makes a really big difference.
Does a multivitamin cut it?
Depends which multivitamin you're using and the levels that you've got. But yeah, there's some great ones out there that you can use.
And not necessarily ridiculously expensive either.
No.
It's almost like an investment, isn't it? It's an investment in your health. in that, is it cheaper to spend sort of $50 on some multivitamins that are going to last 2 months, or is it better for you to take a week off because you've run yourself into the ground and you're really tired and exhausted and your body's gone, no, we're done. You've got to weigh it up. You've got to look after yourself and fill yourself with good food.
Yeah,
and nutrition.
You do. But also, you know, I think the other thing about natural therapies and herbal medicine and nutrients and all of that stuff is that it is long-term investment. You know, yes, you can see results, and you do see results in 2 months or in 3 months, sometimes even earlier than that. But you actually start reaping your greatest rewards much further down the track. You know, the year that you don't get sick when everybody else does.
That's right.
Things like
think
that.
about that into the long term, yeah.
The 10 years later, when everybody else is walking around going, oh, my knees hurt, oh, this hurts, oh, that hurts, you're not, because you've been taking fish oils for as long as what you have.
And exercising regularly. Use it or lose it, people. And what about some good nutritional balances or some pick-me-ups for your brain?
Yeah, this is a good one for small business owners.
The ones that use their brain the most and don't switch off.
Things like ginkgo are great for brain function. Although in saying that, you do need to be careful when you take ginkgo, and especially for the elderly, it's probably not something that I would prescribe ad hoc.
So again, make sure that you're talking to a professional with these sort of things. Vitamin B, that's good for
B vitamins,
brain?
Yes. Lots of, you know, things like Sudoku as well for maintaining brain function. You know, even things like that. And also there's a beautiful Indian herb called bacopa or brahmi, which is really great. I like to give it to people who are sitting exams, you know, people who are really stressed, people who have got uni stuff coming up. That's really fantastic, because in combination with other things like licorice and other adaptogens, you can really help people focus, achieve what they need to when they're going through that really stressful time. Yeah.
Well, there's some awesome tips there. Absolutely fantastic. Just advice with regards to pick-me-ups and things that we can do to look after ourselves, which in turn looks after our businesses. So thank you very much for coming on the show today, Kerry. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you for having me, Lex.
Now, you can catch up on all of our blogs and podcasts via the smallbizmatters.com.au website. While you're there, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, because you can find out about all those fabulous events that are coming up for small business. We have over 50 events each month listed on our website, and if you've got a workshop or an event or a business launch that you'd like to tell everyone in this local area about, please send us an email. You can send that to no, it's gone. Yes, events at smallbizmatters.com.au. And if you're a guest, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show and share some of your expertise like the lovely Kerry has done with us today, then you can join in and send us an email or check us out on Facebook and get in touch with us via the Triple H Facebook page or the Small Biz Matters Facebook. Look, you can just there's lots of different ways to find us. We are not anonymous. So thank you very much for listening today. You can catch up on our website if you want to listen to podcasts. And in the meantime, we'll see you all next week with another great guest. This has been Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it.